guys, welcome to another episode of Tectonic Takes. I know we had a little hiatus there. I had to go ahead and get situated back in the United States, but I'm back with two of my friends that I've been going to almost every game with. I mean, if I haven't seen, Abel or Saz, then it's not a game for me. So, what's up, guys? How you doing? What's up, Abel? How you been?
I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm excited to start this again.
Yeah, I know. I've been a little lazy, or I need to find a little motivation, but definitely, I'm back at it. So we're gonna be going ahead and doing this a little more often, and we're gonna do some Twitter Spaces as well. So guys, stay tuned for that. But Saz, what's up, man? The man of the Tectonic Takes Instagram. I mean, everybody loves those videos. Thanks for coming on the show. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. I am on that upload grind. I'm doing like 3 or 4 shows a week. So, yeah.
I was actually honestly I was a little scared to just reach out to you. Maybe I wanted to talk to your agent, your manager, because once Samira Montero like said, the podcast, you know the show.
Yeah.
I was like, geez, I don't know if we can pay this guy, dude. We can afford him.
Yeah, that video doesn't honestly even like encapsulate what actually happened. So you can go and talk to the players after the game. And I'm just dapping them up. Like I said it on the video, and he's like, "Hey man, I watch your podcast. I really like it." And like I know he meant just the clips, but I literally just froze and I'm like, and I started like freaking out. And then as he's walking, I'm like, "Yo, can I get that on video?" He's like, "Yeah, I got you, man." He's like the nicest guy. Congratulations to the Montero family for the birth of their child. I believe 2 days ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was insane. I've had a few other guys reach out to me. Cruz, the young 15-year-old, he just randomly will like one of my videos every once in a while. Yeah, yeah. I'll be invoicing you for my time here.
So, guys, if you haven't listened to our Instagram yet or watched some of Saz's videos or even Abel's articles or anything, guys, make sure you head over to our Instagram or our Twitter, and you'll find a whole bunch of more content from us. Yeah, we have a lot of players that follows, and a lot of players that show a lot of support. Thank you for Kate. Thank you, Cruz. Thank you, Hamido. All these guys. I mean, I'm not naming off everybody, but I know a lot of players. Show some support, and that's really nice. But we're gathered here today because there's a lot of things going on in the world of Quakes news, and I feel like there's a lot of things we should definitely talk about. Let's go ahead and start with the state of the Quakes. I mean, we're halfway through the season. We got I would say a pretty hard fought point on the road in Toronto, but a little bittersweet because we could have had 3 points there, and it would have been Alex Cavello's first win on the road, which needs to come if we're gonna do any damage in the West. Guys, quick thoughts on the game. We'll go ahead and start with Saz. Saz, what'd you think of the game? And was Mito's presence felt that he was gone, right? So, what'd you think?
Yeah, well, to start, I think we got the tactics wrong. Um, if you rewatch the game, Michael Bradley had a unreal amount of time on the ball. And you can say whatever you want about him, whether you like it or not, but he was their playmaker. And just to let him have the ball, he's not as fast anymore. He's 36. Like, press him. First 9 minutes of game, I don't even think we touched the ball more than 30 seconds. We get the goal. I felt we turned it around. Obviously, we ended the half a little poor, started the next one a little bit poor, but we made some subs, and I felt like we really had momentum. And then to give away a kind of a sloppy pass right after having a 1v1 attempt, and then to have that immediately turn into a counterattack, concede, and concede again 4 minutes later, that's just it's again, I think a big problem since Cavello's come in has been the mental lapses, and I don't blame him for that. I've just kind of noticed that once he's been here, we have about a 20-minute period where we really fall asleep, and then I'm glad. But on the flip side, I'm glad Jack Skane got into the game, and for everyone listening, it is Skane, not Skahan or Skane. Skane. I'm glad he got in because I was watching some of his UNC highlights, and if I've even watched the interview you did with him, the man's a goal scorer. Like
Yeah.
I know he's in the midfield, but he's got a rocket of a shot. I mean, that's really how he got back onto the squad, and I'm glad that he got some minutes more than just I don't even remember which game it was, but he subbed in the 91st minute, played 30 seconds,
Yeah.
the game ended. So glad to see him start to get in. I've seen a big improvement from him since last season. Really seems like he's back to he's at the pace of the MLS now. So that was a positive, but yeah, the rest of that was a little rough.
Yeah, and if you guys have watched any Quakes 2 games this year, Jack Skane is definitely a leader on the field. He takes the penalties for them. So when he is playing, he is the penalty shooter. So he is a goal scorer. So a guy who I would love to see in the lineups I mean, he's a guy who 2 years ago, 1 year ago, maybe wasn't looking like he was for this team, but this man, this gentleman, is definitely he deserves to be on this team, and he deserves some minutes, especially because he can play that left back and right back and center midfielder, and he can shoot a penalty. I think we can find a spot for this guy on the roster, especially this one. Abel, any quick thoughts on the game? I know we didn't see Insigne, and maybe it was a good thing, but what do you think about this Toronto FC game or the team?
I didn't watch the game entirely. I couldn't catch it, but um, throughout the game, I was texting the group chat, and Saz was going on his little rant. And from what I could like take from that is that it was another typical Quakes game where we score and hopes go up, and then it all comes crashing down very quickly. And that's kind of been the story of the Quakes for the season, right? Uh, we have some momentum, we have an idea of what we want to do, and it all just comes crashing down for some reason. And like you said, players like Jack Skane can be integrated into the first team and probably have like a lot of impact. Our squad depth right now isn't the best considering that we just lost a playmaker with Chofis and a defender with Francisco Calvo, but you know I think it's just a matter of like looking at our options and see what works best. I know we're like what halfway through the season, right?
Yeah, exactly at
Like
halfway.
halfway through
Yeah.
the season, but I mean the Quakes. I don't think they have much to lose by trying out different things.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's a lot of spots on this roster that can be utilized. I mean, I'm expecting Cruz Medina to make his debut sometime this year, so I'm hoping we're gonna see that. And again, I think this roster is unfortunately in some sort of hiatus. I think they really do want to hire a coach because Jeff Carlisle today reported that they're in the final stage of hiring a coach. So there is six potential suitors for the job. One of them include Landon Donovan. I know a lot of Quakes fans have bittersweet kind of feelings towards that, but kind of hopping on this Earthquakes team a little late. I personally don't have a problem with it because I wasn't there for the heartbreak that he left for Everton. I only remember the Algeria kind of heroics, and he's a U.S. national team legend. So it's exciting times. Just so I go through the short list real quick, I might butcher this a little bit, but one of the people is Landon Donovan. Another one is Paku. I'm butchering the name right now, but the guy who coaches for FC Dallas 2, and then as well as Alex Covello. Yes, Alex Covello. And then there's another name kind of floating out there with Ramos. He's always going to be in the mix. I still think they kind of looking at possibly a Luchi Gonzalez, but we'll see what the kind of honestly, if the name hasn't been said now already, I think it's kind of like they're not maybe the front runners. I would say Landon's probably a front runner, just to bring some buzz and hype for the team. I think Alex Covello hasn't been doing that bad of a job. I thought he's been doing all right, but I think his biggest gripe is a lot of people are saying his sub timing is not as well, and maybe they're finally admitting that Matias Almeida was pretty good with the subs, but again, that's more to tell. I think Cavella's doing a good job. I would love to keep Cavella around just in case something happens with Donovan. Maybe he pulls another one and goes to Everton again. But yeah, no, definitely a lot of entertaining things happening with the Quakes. I actually don't think they're gonna get any more players until the coach comes in. I actually think they might be waiting for that. That's why they're trying to hurry up this coaching kind of search. So I don't think they want to bring in a player that might be a lame duck or anything where the coach doesn't like them. So I think that really has to do with all the rumors kind of not happening right now. But I want to talk a little bit, Abel. You talked a little bit about Chofis Lopez not being on the team anymore. So our second topic for the day is bye bye Chofis, guys. We didn't get to see Chofis play. Unfortunately, give him a send off. Um, I personally think it was something that we could have done and we should have done. But even if he was here, even if the story is true or not true, we wouldn't have had a game because the Stanford game was canceled. A lot to happen in this last week or last month. I apologize. Let's start with Saz. Saz, what did you think about the whole trophy situation? What was your thoughts? Do you feel like he deserved a send off? And then there's another part of the question. How do you feel like he did as a DP as a Quake?
Well, I guess I got an exclusive here. He kind of did have a send off, and It was so if anyone's been to the stadium and you like right as you walk in and you hook a right, there's like this bridge that the players walk over. And after the game, I left obviously, and I was going to the back parking lot to say hey to some of the players. And I usually like to stand under the bridge because usually the fans will gather there and everyone just screams at them as they walk
Yeah,
by. All of a sudden, I'm just standing where I usually stand, and I think there is a security threat happening. I think the building is under attack. The entire stadium is converging right onto me, and like I see five security guards like just charging at me, and I'm like, "What is happening?" I look to my right. Chofis, instead of going over the bridge, had snuck under and just started signing autographs for
that's
everyone.
nice.
And it was that at that point, I pretty much knew he was going away. Didn't see him again after that, and whether it was just even on the bench appearance or anything. So that was a little funny. I thought as far as a DP, as far as for the Earthquakes, yeah, I mean, he was our top scorer last year. He lit up the league like, what was it, 7, 13 games in a
Yeah.
row. And then, yeah, you could just tell he had quality on the ball. I mean, I loved his time here. I think he'll be missed. I think one thing I personally I think we're missing Calvo more than we're missing him, just because I think we replaced him with Montero. But that's another discussion.
Yeah, I feel like he was a fan favorite. I have a little list that someone posted on our Twitter. Matt Braunstein went ahead and posted it. But Abel, quick thoughts on trophies. What did you think? Do you feel like as a Mexican American he had a good time here, and did he deserve a bigger send off?
I think he definitely enjoyed his time here. I think he probably didn't expect the community to welcome him so much. The Mexican community. But it's also funny because he isn't entirely missed because his job could just be taken up by, like you said, Jamiro Montero, or we're starting to see Benji Kikanovich step it up a little. So it's not like we miss him entirely, but it would be nice to see another playmaker like Chofis. And this is the thing about loans, right? I mean, you get attached to a player, and all of a sudden he's gone the next year. So I think the Quakes definitely need to do some better business now, and you know, don't think about a loan. Think about bringing a player permanently on like a 4-year contract or something like that.
Yeah, well, the way MLS works is, guys, if you didn't know this, any loan that comes in has an option to buy. So no matter what loan that comes in, the MLS structure is that they have an option to buy with the price point. So the same thing was with Alanis. The same thing was with Chofis. I think Magnus Eriksson, if I'm not mistaken, came on a loan and then we purchased him, as well as Utzon, right? And then and Espinoza as well. So we actually like to use this situation a lot more. But yeah, I think Chopez Lopez had a great time here. I feel like he actually revitalized his career in San Jose. I feel like he's more of a complete player now. He showed that he can possibly play without Matias Almeida, but that's still in the air. Um, but again, I have this little list here by Matt. Thank you for posting this, and I'm gonna say because I feel like I'm in the same boat as it. So number one, the best DP the Quakes have ever had is Wanda. Undeniable. Right? Number two, Espinoza. I think that's pretty fair. I think Espinoza this year and the seasons prior has showed that he's been a quality DP. The problem is getting more DPs around him, and they might have one in Hamiro. I think that's going to be good for a while. Vaco as number three. If you guys have an opinion, feel free to kind of interject. I think Vaco was, unfortunately, he should have gone on a transfer fee. I mean, if Galvo's getting a transfer fee, we should have got a transfer fee for Vaco. He was a great player, just wasn't a great fit. I felt like he would have done well in the 2013, 2014 eras of the Quakes, but in this time where it was just you needed to be a little faster and a little more physical, he wasn't the player for this MLS at the time. Number four, Chofis. So here he has Chofis above Erickson and Dawkins. So Erickson at 5 and Dawkins at 6, which I think is a little fair. I might switch Erickson with Chofis because Erickson did help us get through to MLS's back tournament, and he did step into a role as a 10 when he wasn't a 10 at all. So he was like the jack of all trades in that sense. Guys, what do you think about that? Chofis at number 4 so far.
Abel, you can go first.
Abel there?
Oh, looks a little frozen.
I
Yeah.
kind of froze. I
All
froze for
good.
a
Okay, go
second.
ahead.
I did not hear
Oh, no
your
worries.
All right, I'll
question.
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah. All right. I completely agree with the Erickson point. I think the difference between Erickson and Chofis might have been a flashier player, and when we were maybe at a worse time, he was able to provide goal for us and entertainment. I think Erickson was deeply missed once he went, and he was really the blunt of the blame a lot of the time. He was a ball carrier. He sent it through. The reason I also like Vaco being that high is I think the reason we're not seeing as much production from Espinoza. I mean, I know he has a lot of stats this year, but as much as it, I don't want to say the impact, like the percentage of it being good. Anyways, I think Vaco made Espinoza better because Vaco was much more, let me get the ball, take two or three on tight space.
Yeah,
They had to converge in on his side, which opened it up for Espinoza because Espinoza's best trait is those
right.
1v1s. And I think now that he hasn't had Vaco, it's been a lot more, we can put more pressure onto Espinoza, force him out wide, and they know he's just going to run straight instead of straight at goal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm pretty, that list sounds pretty good to me, yeah.
Yeah, I think the list was pretty spot on. Maybe, MPG should be there where instead of Dawkins, but I mean Dawkins was beloved with his first stint, and then his second stint was homecoming. So maybe that one's a little more of a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and move on. I'll ask you the next question, Abel. No Stanford game. I mean, that was a bummer. I was excited to see everybody. I loved that game. When I was a fan, I loved that game. I would bring out all my friends. I would bring my family, my parents, and we would go like nine deep to that game. So it's so unfortunate that we didn't have a Stanford game this year. Um, no need to be bummed out. But Abel, what do you think? I mean, unfortunately, we didn't have it. But was it such a big as a bummer to you as well?
It was because I think at that point, the Saturday that the game was taking place, the Quakes hadn't had a home game in like a month, and I was itching to just, get back onto it. But I think, well, the game got
Yeah.
rescheduled, right, for September, and I think this changes a lot more than people think. People might just look at it as just simple rescheduling, but uh, this is after a transfer window. This is, we're expecting a new coach. We don't really know what's going to happen, and I think the Quakes might actually benefit from this. They could probably get just a little bit more prepared, bring in some new players, new coach, new tactics. So I don't think we should be bummed out because I know everyone was looking forward to it, and in social media everyone was like, the Quakes did it again, but I mean, look at the bright side. I mean, I really think that the Quakes now have a better chance at making something big out of that game.
Yeah. So, guys, a little insider info right here. The Quakes were really close to having it at PayPal Park. Of course, there can't be fireworks there because there's an airport. So that was kind of out of the equation all the whole time. They also thought about Levi Stadium, but they couldn't secure food vendors and security for the match. So that's just a little tidbit. They tried. So, guys, it's not the Quakes doing it again, like everybody was saying. They definitely tried. They did not want to reschedule it because this happened last minute, and it's a natural disaster. Unfortunately, we can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
So it's something that's just completely unfortunate. Saz, I know you're out there, capoing, yelling your heart out. How did you feel? How did the supporters group feel? I bet a big loss.
Yeah, well, before I even get into that, I want to agree exactly with what you said. Everyone's saying Quakes it again. There was a power outage. I mean, it's fire season in California. I mean, you had 2 days to move 30,000 people. Everyone's saying go to PayPal Park. The stadium holds 18,000, so there's that. Levi Stadium, like you said, the whole like these are big things. Like how are you going to rearrange the seat order? How are you going
Right.
to do this? How are you going to have everyone move? People booked hotels. People did. It's a big ordeal. Like the fact they were able to update us this quickly was impressive. But anyways, yeah, no, it was depressing. It's my favorite game of the year. It's the best game of the year. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
win or lose. It's just a giant hangout. And unfortunately, after last year's events, I think it was a Cruz Azul. There was a friendly. Unfortunately, there was a shooting after the
Yeah.
game. So tailgates have been limited to 3 hours prior to the
Mm.
match. This is going to be the first match all year that tailgate was open from pretty much morning
Oh.
to night. So it would have been the first tailgate we've had.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer. It's a nice summer day. The fireworks show. Stanford Stadium is just a classic old school stadium. So that, yeah, just a giant bummer. It's a great Saturday summer hangout that was no longer here.
Yeah, and honestly, the Fourth of July stuff is so cool, right? I mean, the fireworks, it gets you in the
Hmm.
mood. It's like, oh, America, yeah, America,
Yeah,
So
the
the parachute
the
coming down, the flyover.
yeah. I would say there's one positive that we weren't looking at is if we were to look at the schedule. I think we had an international break a week or two
Yeah.
prior, but the month prior it was game after game after game when we were still in the Open Cup, especially. I think it was a blessing in disguise as far as like some of the guys' legs probably could have used that extra week. I know they ended up scrimmaging that day anyways. They just played an 11 v
Oh, I
11
didn't know
game.
that.
Maybe they might have played two. Yeah. I was talking to, I think it was either Matt Bersano or Jack Skane were telling me, yeah. And Jackson Ewell. They said, yeah, they just got together and they
With the
went and
Galaxy?
just scrimmaged. No,
Oh, okay.
themselves.
Okay.
It was like it was just like the reserves versus the
Oh,
starters.
wow, that's good
They
information.
just
Yeah.
they just went out and they scrimmaged that day just to kind of get some fitness in. But I'm assuming it was lighter. I'm assuming it was like they still probably wanted to win, but yeah, good on the legs, just to get a little bit of rest. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the Quakes have a jam-packed schedule. I know they have the Galaxy coming up, so a Cali Classico, but in LA or I'm sorry, Carson proper.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and then we also have an international friendly coming up on my birthday, so I'm excited to go out to that game. La Liga, I mean, Celta Vigo coming in, big team, right? A mainstay in the Liga. I'm not sure if they went. I don't think they went down this last year, but they definitely are a big staple. And let's see what guys. I think some of the young guys are going to get opportunities, like the Buddhas, the Will Richmonds, even probably a Yudson to help him get his legs in again. Yeah, it looked like he looked a little rusty on that Toronto goal, but maybe getting some extra games in, he's not going to have those mistakes, and he's going to be a mainstay again. Yeah, but it's gonna get tight. I asked the Quakes for a player interview, but they said it's kind of tight right now, so we have to wait a little bit. So, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of games, a lot of
Oh,
fun.
don't even get me
Yeah.
started. Yeah, I've been there. I'm not gonna say the player, but like we've been trying to get an interview for over a month, and their schedule has just been
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah,
Especially if it's like one of those Brink guys where they're on Quakes 2 and Quakes 1. It's like, geez, man, these
yeah,
guys are
yeah.
these guys are
Yeah.
so busy nowadays. And Saz, before we go forward, I actually just remembered I got your favorite jersey right here, my guy.
Hey, Fiero.
I got your favorite player, your favorite Quake of all
Yeah,
time. All right.
yeah, yeah. Funny. I'll give you guys insider info. It doesn't release till tomorrow. I don't know when this will release. Jacob actually was able to record an episode with me, and we recorded a whole episode, and my camera didn't record, so we had to re-record it.
Oh,
And on the re-record, he kept accidentally saying Rios,
yeah.
and he like at least three different times he was like, and then we gave like he just instinctually blamed Rios, and we started dying. He's like, it's ingrained in my head. I can't.
At that point, right, the Matias Almeida Quakes, they're still to blame for what we're doing now, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
all right, so that's I guess that's it for the Stanford part. Let's talk about a little bit about the coaching situation. We talked a little bit about it, but would you like it to be done faster than longer? I mean, now that I thought about it, that the transfers aren't coming in because you really don't want to get a player in without a coach. But the way I've been talking to Alex Cavello, I always ask him questions at the press conferences like, hey, what players do you want or what's your dream player? But he's always super classy and he doesn't want to name drop. I mean, I could ask Matias Almeida, hey, man, what do you think about Ronaldinho? And he'll go off like, oh, I want, Neymar to come into the Earthquakes or something like that. But Cabello keeps it classy. He doesn't say any names or anything, but it really shows that he doesn't really have any power in the GM search. It's all Chris Leach. So I still think we're going to be waiting for a new coach to get in some transfers. But if you had to choose a coach that is kind of been thrown around, what would you want for a coach? Let's start with Abel. What's one of the main things you would like to see?
So, Fabio, I don't know if you were at the Chris Leach conference when Matias
No,
Almeida
I wasn't.
left, but he said, "I want
Yeah.
MLS experience." So I'm not sure if he was referring to players, like played in MLS or coaching. I'm assuming he meant coaching. Um, but then on the way to the gym today, I was thinking about Landon Donovan, and like I was just like thinking so many things about could Landon Donovan actually fit into the Quakes, and I started thinking about my choices or yeah, like my choices for head coach when Matias Almeida left, and I was thinking like Ian
Yep.
Russell, for example. His name was thrown around, right? But in retrospect, I think he probably would have done the same as
Yeah.
Alex Covello. Like, I think he probably would have done like the same thing. I'm actually pretty satisfied with Alex Covello, but I think he needs like more power. Like you said, like he needs to be more assertive and say, I want
Yeah.
this, I want that. But you know, Landon Donovan could be good. I'm really not so sure what to think about that because it's kind of like, oh, you betrayed us, right? And now he's coming. He's like, hey guys, they said I could work here, but I think a player like him or a coach like him who's played in many top leagues with some of the best players at the time, I think that could really work well for the Quakes,
Yep.
right? I don't see anything bad
Yeah,
about it.
personally, I think it's. You know what? You know, we never said we would get a coach of this stature when Matias Almeida left, but bam, we get Landon Donovan right back, and that's just a media circle all over again. I mean, we got ESPN showing up to press conferences, Univision showing up to press conferences, people throwing in questions. How does it feel to be back at the club that you backstabbed? There's gonna be that question thrown in there somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I like Landon Donovan. I think this team could use the buzz. To be honest, if you want to boo, if you want to boo Landon Donovan at the stadium, at least you have to buy a ticket, right? You have to show up to the games. You have to sit in that seat, maybe buy a beer or two, to throw at him. But I still think it's gonna be a fun time if it's Landon Donovan. That's for sure. I think Alex Covello, deserves a shot, but I feel like he's better as an assistant. I hope he stays around just in case that Landon Donovan does another Everton move to us. Saz, what do you think, man?
I have a few quick thoughts. I like Alex Cavello. I think he might need some more time in the league. Like I think he's starting to get acclimated to it. Um, no matter what happens, I want to keep Wando as an assistant coach. I just think having his experience is so good for players like Jabo, Benji, Nico, Cade, and then the locker room presence here. He knows a lot of the guys. If we were to bring Landon Donovan in, if you had him and Wando as assistant coaches, that is a helpful to the front
Right.
line situation. Um, but if we were to go in a different direction, I'm going to actually sound like a bit of a hypocrite here because I always say I hate when American sports fans come in and they immediately reference an American sport just to like sound like they know what they're talking about. But I wouldn't be mad if we pulled a NBA move, which is something we've seen happen to the Warriors, Spurs a lot, where it's anytime they have a successful season, the assistant coach gets offered a head coach job. So maybe an assistant coach of Seattle. I know Sporting Kansas is suffering this year, but they're a historically good franchise. I hate LAFC, so I don't even want to say their names, but just maybe a successful team if they've had a good coaching staff, an assistant coach that's been in the game around a long time. It's tough because I'd want someone who has head coach experience, especially in the league. But maybe that could be something we could look at. Someone that's been around a good franchise for a long
Hmm.
time, give them the reins, and let them kind of run it.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's very true. It's funny in MLS. There's how you said there's an NBA move where the Warriors win, they take away like Mike Brown and take him to the Sacramento Kings. There's an MLS move.
Hmm.
It's where you're an MLS head coach for the Real Salt Lake, and then you go become an assistant coach for Seattle. So
Yeah,
so there's the
yeah,
inverse of it. That happens a little in
yeah.
MLS, but yeah, I like that too. I think that's great. Landon, I think, went far in U.S. Open Cup, if I'm not mistaken, or he had a good showing. And he backed up his players. I know there was that big controversy of one of the Galaxy 2 players
Hmm.
maybe saying a homophobic slur, and he backed up his players and he showed that grit. And he said, we're not playing this game. And that's something that, honestly, might be good for the Quakes. It buys right into our never say die mentality. Unless Matias Almeida was the same way. I hate to say it, but he fought for his guys, and I like that at Atlanta Donovan, and I want to see that out of our next coach. And Alex Cavilla does the same, but I feel like Landon Donovan's a little more vocal about it. So I would like a Landon Donovan. Speaking a little bit about the state of the Quakes and the transfer market and all these. There's been a little bit of rumors. I mean, coming to MLS, I think there's a couple of guys that all Quakes fans would love. I think we had Dario, our photographer, and then Luis, a great contributor to Tectonic Takes. They posted some photoshops of Luis Suarez in his Quakes uniform, and me, I would love to have that. I think personally, I thought Cavani was more Quakes speed. I think that would be a nice one too. But and then Jesse Lingard. I mean, he said he wanted to go to Miami or LA, but I'm like, hey man, you ever been to the Bay? We got if I'm Chris Leach, I'm calling Jesse Lingard's agent and then schmoozing him, pick him up from the airport, show him SF, show him the nice restaurant in SF, tell him how nice this could be, show him that a Tesla drives automatically, so he can be in LA in 4 hours without even driving. I mean, this is a new world. I mean, we're right next to LA. We're not that far. The high speed rail's coming. Don't worry, Jesse Lingard. Sign an 8-year deal. The high speed rail will come. But that's another one. Marcelo is another one that's out there that's like, hey man, this guy's a legend. It's like a Danny Alves type of thing where it's like, hey, just bring him in, sell some jerseys, have him as a right back option, maybe off the bench. If he can play a full 90, then have him in there a couple games. But man, imagine being Jack Skane or Oseni Buddha and Marcelo walks in to teach you and to train with you. That'd be insane for them. So just having that experience for like a Jackson Ewell or JT, I think outweighs the salary, and all the jersey sales of a Marcelo San Jose Earthquakes jersey would just be insane. So I personally think, you know what, Abel, you know what I'm actually thinking, Saz? I want that FIFA Ultimate Team card where you can change the chemistry on Marcelo, all right? Like I need that. That's what I need. But no, but seriously, I think the Quakes need to do a little splash. The attendance numbers came out. It wasn't the brightest numbers, but hey, it could be worse, right? We could be in New York or one of the biggest markets in the world and barely filling up our stadium. Oh wait, shoot, we're in the Bay Area. Never mind. It is worse. So definitely, guys, we need to support this team. I understand a lot of people are taking a stance with the price increase of the season tickets, but I mean, yeah, look at Saz. I know he's part of the supporters group,
don't get
so
me started, bro.
definitely they were
Don't
pretty
get me
vocal
started.
about it. But let me say this: League's Cup's coming, so we're getting more games. MLS Access, you're getting it too, so you can watch. You don't have to buy that. Saz, I know you have a big opinion about this increase in season tickets. What's up with that? What do you think?
I don't care. Like, cool, I get a World Cup scarf. I'm in the standing room. I am standing. I don't have a seat. I'm standing, and my tickets have more than doubled in price. I thankfully I'm going to college next year, but we almost have the same price tickets as Liverpool season ticket holders. Think about that. We're it's it's the same exact thing. I have actually I could send you the photo. I have a great photo because John Fisher, our such Lord Heavenly great owner, owns the Oakland Athletics as well. The also one of the worst teams in
Well,
baseball.
attendance wise, yeah, they have like
The,
3,000. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like it lowest attendance, highest ticket prices, maybe like at least like top five. Like haven't signed a player over like 60
Yeah, I saw
million,
that
let
graphic.
go of
Yeah.
players. Yeah, it's and now I'm just seeing the same thing with the earthquakes. He's just going to increase ticket prices, and everyone's like, "Oh, but we're not making money." John Fisher is making billions of dollars on the earthquakes every year. He is still earning money off of
Well,
us.
billions.
Like it is
I would say
ridiculous.
billions is a little bit stretched, but on the
Yeah,
as the whole investment, because he bought all that land, right? And Roku came in, Yahoo came in. He is making a lot of money on the land, on the property, and all those things. And the venue itself probably is going to pay itself off with all the rent he's charging with the other things. And hey, we have this stadium right next to us. Come rent out this, and we have a whole bunch of parking, so your people are not going to have to worry about parking. But I'm going to say this: I feel like he's charging us the value of standing in the Bay Area because it's increasing in rent every single month. So I
oh yeah.
I understand a bit, but the market I'm not sure if he realizes the market of the people that go to the games or the market that they try to market to. But it's pretty blue collar. We're not the techie kind of show that the Warriors are, and the Warriors can charge anything they want because they're the Warriors. But again, I think the price increase isn't that valid. But again, the prices in the Bay Area, inflation, he could have charged 20 to 30 to 40% more. But you said double, right, Saz? He was charging double.
More than double.
Yeah, that's a little crazy. I think
Yeah.
that's a big jump. That's a big way to alienate your fan base. Um, but
hmm
going back to the transfer talk, Abel, what do you think of the MLS transfers? I actually have something to say about this, but what do you think so far?
Hector Herrera just got to the Dynamo, made his debut. It looks like every team
Mm,
in MLS makes a signing like that. Like we saw Sherdan
yeah,
Shaqiri with the Chicago Fire. Bringing in players like that, and we were just talking about bringing in a player like Marcelo, which is it's a long shot, but also Marcelo was rejected
yeah,
reportedly by a bunch of MLS clubs.
which is insane. Which is insane.
So I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I thought that was crazy. I'm like, there's like 5 or 6 clubs in MLS that rejected Champions League winning Marcelo, Real Madrid club legend, Brazilian legend. You don't want him on your team? I find that
when
crazy.
LAFC is signing Christian Bale as a TAM player, you're telling me we couldn't offer Trophies Lopez wages to Marcelo at least for 6 months, a year, something, so we can get this fan base running
Gareth, but Batman's cool too.
again?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, well, let me be a realist a little bit. Um, Hector Herrera, that's a nice player. You know, uh, that coach is very lucky to have him. If I'm quoting,
I was just about to
um,
reference that. That
yeah,
was
well,
one of your
I
best
made it to
moments, Favi.
ESPN and Telemundo for that, so yeah. So
Yeah, that was one
now
of
I
your
try to get
best
that
ever
Alex
moments.
Covello, and I don't get it. So definitely, thank you, Matisse Almeida. Shout out, shout out. Hey, send me a ticket to Greece. That'd be cool. No, fly me out. Really quickly, I wanted to talk a little bit about being a realist with the Quakes. We're not gonna get the or we're not gonna get the Bales. We're not gonna get the, you know, the Suarez lunch meat, and we're not gonna get the Lingards. But you know what we can get? I'm sorry, the Italian defender that played for Juventus. I can't pronounce his last name. Someone help me.
Chiellini.
Chiellini, thank you. That's why I was
Yeah.
referencing
Chiellini?
Suarez lunch meat because he likes to bite into it.
Yeah.
But Chiellini, we're
Yeah.
not gonna get those guys. But you know who we can get? This is a realistic transfer that I want on this team. I want Latif Blessing. Latif Blessing for LAFC has been pretty mad that they got Bale and that they pushed him over to the side. And that is a quality MLS player, and that's a quality player that could help this team with some lightning speed, and he could play some left back, some right back, and if he's on a good day, he could do a good cross from that right back or left back position. That's a player who would be on my short list. He doesn't want to be there. He's disgruntled because they basically had Bale take over his spot. That's who we should be targeting.
Huh, do you guys
Yeah, we
follow
do. We
No
definitely do.
Context MLS? So did you see the
No, I did
DMs
not. I did not.
that he posted? So people were DMing Latif Blessing, and
Yeah.
they were saying like, "Come to Philly" or something like that, and it was just like, okay. And everyone in the comments was like, "This dude is an NPC," or like, what kind of responses
Right.
is this guy actually giving? But I mean, I'm pretty sure he's hinting
Yeah,
at
and we might
leaving
run into a problem.
LAFC.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a
I'd love
player
to see
that
him.
that could. I know he's not the 10, but he is a solid player that like kind of like a Jack Scahan role. Or I'm sorry. Oh my god. Oh my god. Jack Scahan role. And once I have his Prime Brew jersey right here, I won't have an excuse. I have to say it right. But that's a player I could see, that I would like to see in the Quakes uniform. Also, Pozuelo went to Inter Miami for less than an international spot, which, yeah,
That
I couldn't
was
believe that we couldn't
insane.
offer at least.
Why are we
Right.
not talking about this more
I
on
mean, MLS
Twitter?
MVP 2 years ago. I know we just got Miro, but man, you find a way to get them both on the field at the same time. I mean, if you can give up 200K and beat Inter Miami for it, like what's going on? What the hell? And that's like the cheapest deal I've ever seen for an MVP in any league. So it's just insane that he went for that cheap. But yeah, I mean, you guys have any realistic transfer targets that you possibly would like to see in the Quakes uniform? We'll go ahead and start with Abel. I mean, Abel, what do you think?
Um, Thinking about like positions, like what we can fill in. I don't have a center back in mind, But I was thinking about the right back position. And I was thinking about something that I said before the beginning of the season when we were talking about what transfers we want to see.
Mm,
Uh, Van
yeah,
Ranking from Timbers. Remember that
yeah.
his situation was kind of weird because he was still technically owned by Chivas and he was with the Timbers. And is he staying or is he not staying? Paul Marie in the right back position. I love Paul Marie, and for a few games, it seemed like he was going to like solidify his spot as the main right back. But he is like he's not that consistent. Sometimes he has bad games. Tommy Thompson comes on as a sub literally every game, so it's like, okay,
Mm.
do we fix something here? So a player like Van Ranking, I think, can bring a lot of value to the Quakes. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's I think it's a realistic transfer because it's not a player that is being linked to LA Galaxy,
Right.
Yankee FC, you know. But I think the Quakes need to target players like that can have, you know, probably it's not going to be
Yeah.
something spectacular, but at least it solidifies your right back spot. You
Yeah.
probably won't
I
have that
think
many problems.
adding a guy like Latif Blessing would do that too. I feel like he could be both, like kind of like a Hudson or a Skane. Yeah, but I would like a right back. The right back. I mean, Palmer's been okay, but if we want to be, some sort of deep threat, deep playoff threat, he would be awesome coming off the bench. I mean, he's more offensive when he's off the bench. He scored that great curler against Houston last year. Yeah, last year off the bench. So he's still a great player. I would like him around. I just feel like we need some sort of superstar right back. I wonder if there's one like that just left Real Madrid. Heart of a champion. I don't know one, but you guys know. But I just wanted to say there are Quakes rumors out there. I'm very grateful that I've grown to this, that where people come to me with rumors, but I can't really release them because I'm filtering out the smoke or fire ones. But like the Everton Kate Cowell one, I'm not too sure about that one. Everybody was pretty hush hush about that one, so I feel like unless Everton had a plan to loan him right back to us, I don't think they were willing to pay his high price because they were just facing relegation, as well as I don't think he might be ready yet. So I think the valuation might be a little too high. Saz, what do you think, man? What do you think about the recent transfers or transfer rumors, and what's the guy you would like to bring in?
I kind of have a hot take compared to what I've been seeing on like Twitter and hearing everyone else. At least, I don't necessarily want one that is from the center mid up.
Mm,
Like I don't like. And Jacob and I were actually talking about this. It was like they had mentioned Gareth Bale, the fan question, but it was like, yes, if Suarez comes in, that's some great experience and that's some great like learning opportunities for many of the players. It's just infinite wisdom. But in my opinion, it's if we look at every single position, we have a young player who has kind of come through this system, or like we've drafted that's available, or just someone that's young and promising striker. We got Jabo on the wings. We got Benji, Buddha, Richmond,
yeah.
Cade. Attacking mid, I think Nico Chikaris is going to be a star in the few things I've seen from him. We have Montero right now, and I've been talking about this. I think Yule needs to switch to an attacking mid
Mm,
role instead of a center mid role. Center mid, we have Skane, Grey Goose. Um,
Rometti.
I yeah, well, I'll get to that in a second. But Paul Marie, someone who I've been talking about being very inconsistent. I think the last 6 or so games he's become consistent at least and gotten better. Lopez, we know what he can do. We have Beeson and Agrin. We have Bersano and JT in goal. We have Nathan who's there right now. So if we were to bring someone in, I do think we should bring someone out. It needs to be a MLS proven veteran at center back who is a leader in the locker room, because one of our biggest problems right now is obviously defense, and then also just falling asleep for 20 minutes. We need someone who's going to organize us on the field. We need that on-field coach. And as much as I love Jackson Yule, I just don't think we're getting that from him per se. So we need that older kind of guy at center back, and then kind of help some of the other guys, teach some of that old man like wisdom that you learn. And then if we were going to pick someone else up, I'd want it to be a defensive mid, just only because I love what Ramadi's giving us, and I love Yudson coming off the bench. I don't know how much longer they
Mm,
have, especially compared to if you look at everyone else. I can see almost everyone else on the roster, maybe nothing include not maybe not nothing, but everyone else could give us a good solid 5 years because they're so
mm.
young. So that would be my take on that.
Yeah, and yeah, no, I agree. I feel like the defensive side is something they do need to kind of um, get another guy in for. But honestly, the first Toronto goal I thought was a great goal. I mean, they got beat by something
Hmm.
greatness. So I truly don't think that the Quakes are. And then the second goal, unfortunately, was a fluke goal, right?
It was luck. It
I
was
mean,
luck. Yeah,
yeah,
it was
Hudson's
like
probably rusty and he hit it a little bit. But again, if you're gonna add quality to this team, it's gonna have to be the defense and or I would even say, but the midfield is so stacked. But I need a guy who can play midfield and the outside backs. I think that's something that I would look for. You can tell Jabo is definitely learning from Wando. I mean, the dude's on a tear. He kind of got
yeah.
mad at Skane a little bit for not passing it and shooting it himself. You guys see that? He was looking at the ball. So I kind of want to see that from my striker though, because he's hungry for the goal. A little bit of news that just came out recently, or that I just found actually. Bruno Costa might be leaving as the scout of the Earthquakes and taking an executive role for Santos, and that's big news. That's great for him if it's true. If it comes out that he gets that job, that's awesome because then we look like a good stepping stone for the rest of the league and for the rest of the world. So I think if he gets that job as the executive or the GM for Santos, we'll definitely go ahead and see some good things that come out of that. And maybe he's like, hey, thanks you guys for being this, and we'll give you some Santos players. That'd be nice too. We need some flair. We need some Brazilian flair on this team. Or maybe he gives us the number to Neymar. That'd be cool. Maybe we could just do like a little Neymar fan event or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, guys, that really wraps it up. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on the show and taking the time out of your day, and thanking everybody for listening to this show. We do appreciate it. We're gonna try to do it a little more religiously, but if you haven't checked out Saz's Aftershocks, please check it out. Check it out on YouTube. Abel, I know, is doing a lot of writing, and he's in the middle of school. So if you have a chance, go ahead and read some of Abel's writings, and follow Abel and Saz both on Twitter. They do a great job kind of keeping us updated throughout the week, during game days, and just a whole bunch of fun. So if you're a Quakes fan, definitely go ahead and follow them. And guys, we appreciate all your support, and we appreciate every single time you guys like, tweet, and follow all of our Tectonic Take stuff. I want to go ahead and say we're probably going to do a little more. I want to do some fan events. I want to do some merch. That's a big one. I want to do a merch. I would love to see some Tectonic Take stuff out there in the wild, and I know I would be rocking it, and I would love to be able to give away some of that too. But thank you guys so much. All I have to say is go Quakes.